Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power's Daily Report. Today we continue our conversation with Sam Rees. He's the CEO of Miller Heiman. Welcome, Sam.
Good to see you, Gerhard.
What I like about Miller Heiman is the research that comes out that's really crystal clear, that shows CSOs of what winning sales organizations are doing.
Yes.
Can you explain what separates them from the rest?
Absolutely. The research is a really fun part of our business. It actually started about 6 years ago when I was just trying to reach out to our clients to figure out how we could be of better service to them. Then got all these responses and they started to say, well, there's some data that we want to run our organization. So it's grown to, this last year we had over 5,000 respondents. And it's really exciting. And that's what everybody wants to know, is what separates the winning sales organizations, which are only about 6% of the whole sample size. What separates them from the rest? And besides two of those things that I already covered, and that is knowing how to leverage the real best practices of their top performers and how to work closely with their strategic accounts when they do their own product and service planning, a couple of other things really jump out. First of all, they're really good at having disciplined prospecting and business development plans. So you find that they don't leave a lot to chance. They don't wait for the funnel to get full. They themselves have some discipline around making sure that funnel does get full. Second thing that really fascinates me is that they're really good at understanding why they win business and why they lose business. And a lot of people just nod their head and say, well, yeah, we understand that too. Not really. The winning sales organizations make a science out of that, specifically on the loss reviews. You know, when they lose a big account, everybody comes to the table and they figure out why they lost it, rather than a phone call from the rep that says, well, the competition discounted at 50%. And then I would say the final thing that was really defined here is that the winning sales organizations, they have a lot of support from the executive level, from the C-levels in the organization, and support in terms of internally in the organization, but also out in front of clients.
Sam, can we circle back to the funnel?
Yeah.
You said keeping the funnel full. How do winning sales organizations diagnose the health of a pipeline?
What they do, the good companies, the very best of the best, is they put a lot of definition around those sales funnels and some very specific gates that take you through a partitioned funnel. And what they do is they also circle back to make sure that those percentages are indeed accurate. So if you think about a simple example of a funnel being divvied up in fours, and at each level the increasing percentage moves down. So maybe at the first level it's 25, 50, 75, and down there it's 100%. They actually have several criteria. Example would be, we actually know who makes the decision and we know where their budget is coming from. So what happens is when you do that and use a funnel in that method, and from that perspective, you have real dialogue and real vocabulary that leads to certain actions, instead of these haphazard approaches and everybody waiting to see whether or not a deal really happened. A lot of precision on a funnel with the way that the top organizations work.
So inject a little bit more science in the guesswork.
Have to. Yeah, if you don't have that science piece, then everybody takes too long to explain where they are in a process. It's too hard to decipher the language. You got to have a common language that helps you really cut through that quickly.
So you earlier said similar things about the win-loss review. What are the science data points that you try to roll out when you train people, how to look at a lost sale?
So what we really try and get people to understand is how to match that opportunity to what we would consider to be an ideal customer. So there's some really specific criteria every company gets a handle on around what an ideal customer looks like. Typically, the first time they go through a loss review, they think, yeah, it looks pretty much like an ideal customer. But as you spend some time analyzing it, an example would be an ideal customer gives them access to senior decision makers. That's one of the first things that you see different as you do a loss review is, well, you really didn't have access to senior decision makers. Or maybe you were dealing with somebody that really doesn't believe in win-win or believes in commodity buying. So those are the kind of skills we try to bring to the table, because we want that loss review to be a vehicle and a launching pad to make sure that those lessons are learned and you don't have to go through those same growing pains again.
So what you're saying is that if you go through the loss review, then you can dial back into the opportunity scorecard and teach salespeople on how to avoid chasing garbage trucks instead of Brinks trucks.
Yeah, excellent analogy. And what I always, when I talk about that with companies, what I always get back to, and just a big thing that is one of our hot premises as a company is, nothing will cripple an organization more than wasting time chasing deals that will never come to fruition. Resources, people, forecasts, investment, and it never happens.
Thank you, Sam. We're going to continue our conversation with Sam Rees, CEO of Miller Heiman, where we explore the gaps that do exist between C-level executives and frontline salespeople.